Hello, I'm Scott Woodwiss and welcome to highlights of the 2013 Thrustmaster Formula SimRacing World Championship. It's back to Asia for the final few rounds of the season, and Suzuka is the next port of call for the Japanese Grand Prix. Originally constructed by Honda in 1962 as a testing facility, Suzuka is the only Grand Prix circuit in the world that features a figure-of-8 layout, making the unique crossover its defining feature. Tyre wear will certainly play a key factor, as the long and high-speed turns make this a very front-limited circuit, ensuring the upcoming 53 laps will provide a true challenge. There was no surprise in qualifying, as Mallorqui snatched his 5th pole of the season ahead of Jack Keithley, who was only managing his 2nd front row start of the year. Geoffrey Rietveld again took 3rd, and a repeat performance from Go Speed's Jurnej Simoncic saw him line up 4th ahead of teammate Filip Puška in 5th and Twister's Eduard Mallorqui in 6th. Ivar Kalamays and Peter Burlak aborted their laps to reside on row 4, Franz Schneider spun exiting the S-curves on his lap, ending up 9th, and Marek Godek didn't even complete his outlap before spinning at the Degner curves and was forced to start in 10th. Netrex locked out row 6 with Gerger Baldi in front of a disappointed Dianko Stadanov, and Blair Disley started ahead of Eros Masciuli on row 7. To the race start, and everyone got away cleanly with all cars holding station into the first corner. Rietveld came under attack from Simoncic, but the Dutchman maintained the place, with the only change being Godek taking 9th from Schneider. Kalamays' exit put him alongside Mallorqui, and with some brave side-by-side driving through the S-curves, the Estonian edged in front to take 6th. The remainder of lap 1 saw no further action, but the run down the pit straight saw plenty. Rietveld snatched 2nd from Keithley, while Kalamays swept around Puška for 5th, and Godek fended off Baldi for 10th. Mallorqui then had a nervous moment running wide at 130R and opened the door for teammate Burlak and Godek to both slip by at the chicane. More action ensued, with Kalamays duplicating his outside pass at turn 1 on Simoncic, while the scrap for the final points places continued, resulting in Schneider losing his front wing on the back of Zoltan Schuti's car to end his race after just 2 laps. Kalamays continued his charge towards the podium by outbraking Keithley into the Casio triangle for 3rd and set off after teammate Huis, who was being kept honest at the front by Rietveld, with the Dutchman seemingly taking the role of pursuer that had previously been reserved for Morgan Morand. Back in 7th, Godek was getting involved in all sorts as he challenged Puška at the chicane. With no luck on his first attempt, Godek lined up the German towards turn 1 with Burlak on his tail. As Puška held his line, Burlak tried to move inside of the Puškara, but found the door slammed shut on him and did well to avoid spinning. Unimpressed by Godek's tactics, Burlak made a desperate dive into the S-curves, but this only resulted in the Croatian sliding off the road and beaching his Twister racing car in the gravel. Godek's troubles weren't over, as he was soon passed by Baldi down the pit straight before running wide at the Degners also allowed Schuti to overtake. Determined to make up for lost ground, Godek kept close, but when Schuti got loose exiting 130R, Godek lost control as he moved alongside, causing a massive accident and spelling the end for both cars. With Burlak out early, Twister Racing were counting on Mallorqui to deliver a points finish, but the Spaniard was becoming stuck behind Puška. His fortunes weren't helped when he made light contact with the Go Speed at the Casio triangle, and the run across the AstroTurf lost him several car lengths. Bono Huis was once again leading with authority at the head of the field and had begun to distance himself from 2nd place Rietveld, who was doing enough to hold off Kalamays in 3rd, and with Keithley running in 4th, it was turning into another Precision Motorsports demonstration. The Go Speeds were 5th and 6th, with Mallorqui giving chase and Gerger Baldi hot on his heels. Zuret's Cabo ran in 9th before running wide at the first corner saw him take to the gravel trap and slip to 12th. Pit stops made no major changes to the running order, although Gerger Baldi once again elected to run longer on his first stint, which briefly put the Hungarian into 2nd. But Rietveld's pace on fresh tyres was good enough to force Baldi to run wide at the Degner curves, giving the better exit and the place back to Rietveld. Marcel van der Linden had also chosen to run longer in 7th, while an undercut had helped Mallorqui jump Puška through the stops to 8th. Baldi then lost more places when a pass from Kalamays at turn 1 forced the Netrex wide. Keithley was able to grab 4th just as Baldi rejoined, with Simoncic making his move at 130R further around the lap. Soon afterwards, Mallorqui and Puška caught the Hungarian, and momentarily Mallorqui was held up behind Manette Rex, but he eventually found a gap exiting the S-curves to claim 6th place, with Puška doing the same 2 corners later. With the race reaching its halfway point, the field was down to just 14 cars, proving that Suzuka was living up to its tricky and notorious nature. Despite this, the order remained the same at the front. Bono Huis still led, ahead of Rietveld in 2nd, Calames in 3rd, and Keithley in 4th, making it all too clear that Precision appeared to have this race sewn up already. While Simicic ran his own race in 5th, all eyes were on the fight for 6th between Mallorqui and Puška. A faster exit from the chicane helped Puška gain the toe he needed onto the pit straight, and forcing Mallorqui to go defensive, Puška moved to his outside and simply drove straight around him, leaving the Spaniard helpless and down to 7th. The biocross positive pair of Disley and van der Linden were once again quietly running in the points in 8th and 9th, while Gergo Baldi claimed 10th from Villa La Parla at Spoon Curve. He made a move at the same corner a lap later on van der Linden for 9th, but a few corners later, Baldi locked his rears under braking at the Casio Triangle, and the spin dropped him behind both cars once more. Van der Linden then attempted to pass La Parla at turn 1 and succeeded despite some messy contact on the exit, but all this brought Baldi back into play, and in a risky move, Baldi forced La Parla to back out at the Degners to retake 10th. Baldi then made another move on van der Linden, again taking the outside line at Spoon and gaining 1 more place. With the second and final stops approaching, cars began to drop like flies. Jaakko Spain PSR lost both cars within a few laps, including Zuhait's Cabo suffering a fiery engine blow-up on the pit straight, before van der Linden took a scary high-speed trip across the gravel and into the tyre wall. With pit stops completed, Baldi beached himself on the grass verge at the chicane, and the time lost rejoining saw him lose out to La Parla. Then a lapse in concentration from Mallorqui ensured 0 points for Twister, when running over the curb at the Degner curves saw the Spaniard careering into the barriers and done for the day. With victory almost ensured for Huis, Rietveld had done enough to comfortably bring home 2nd place. Calames was holding 3rd spot, while Keithley was sustaining heavy pressure from Simicic to retain 4th. He succumbed at the chicane thanks to an outside pass from Puška, but giving the German a taste of his own medicine, Keithley threw caution to the wind and made a huge dive at the outside of the go speed to reclaim the place. Precision's perfect result was then spoiled when Rietveld suffered a mysterious technical problem which put him out of 2nd place with just 3 laps remaining. The team looked into the fault after the race and discovered that it was more than just coincidental. Nonetheless, it was win number 8 and 6 on the bounce for Bono Huis, delivering another classic drive to win the Japanese Grand Prix in style. Ivar Calames again came home in 2nd place to keep his championship chances alive, and in a battle that went right down to the wire, Jack Keithley did just enough to hold off Simicic's advances and claim 3rd spot on the podium. There was also further reason to celebrate for Precision, as their 1-2 finish was more than enough to secure the German outfit's 4th successive Constructors' title. Jurne Simicic lost out in his epic duel with Keithley in the final laps to wind up 4th, while teammate Puška was left unchallenged in 5th after Mallorqui's demise. Biocross Positive were ecstatic with Blair Disley's 6th place, and likewise for Ash Racing, as Villa La Parla grabbed his first points of the season after a long run of bad luck. But the happiest man of the day was unquestionably Giuseppe Marconi, as his slow but steady drive to the finish earned him 8th place and the Italian veteran's first points in the World Championship for 6 years. Geoffrey Rietveld was the last classified driver to score points in 9th despite his retirement, as Gergo Baldi was disqualified for failing to comply for post-race technical inspection. For the 2nd time this season, only 9 cars saw the flag, putting this race on par with Bahrain as one of the toughest of the year. Another 25 points for Bono Huis means that the young Dutchman gets his first chance to seal the 2013 crown next time out in Korea, provided results go his way. Calames needs to finish well in order to delay proceedings, but unless his teammate runs into trouble, the Estonian's chances look almost out of reach. Keithley still remains 3rd, but Simicic is just a couple of points away from claiming Moran's dormant 4th place, with Puška requiring a further 21 points back in 6th. The remaining places remain unchanged as Kostadinov and Baldi failed to finish, while de Wit and Lebert were no-shows for this round. With the Constructors' title wrapped up for Precision, their attention now focuses on GT Omega's charge for 2nd place. 42 points is all that separates them from Go Speed, and Precision may be inclined to swap their drivers in order to maximise potential scores in the final rounds. 0 points for Twister, BremGP and NetRex mean no change in the order, while Ash Racing continue to make up ground in 7th, and Biocross Positive extend their advantage over Pescara, who could be in danger from fast and speed, as Marconi's points leave them just 8 points away from 9th. The next round is the Korean Grand Prix at the Yongam circuit, and you can watch that race live as it happens. Just head to simrace.tv on the 29th of September at 4:15 PM GMT for qualifying, with the race start at 5 PM. With 4 races remaining, time is running out to join the FSR Fantasy League for the chance to win Thrustmaster prizes. Simply head to fantasy.formula-simracing.net to get yourself signed up. As always, check out our forums at racedepartment.com for more league information, follow FSR on both Facebook and Twitter, and subscribe to this channel for further highlights, full broadcast replays, and 60-second race recaps. We hope you've enjoyed today's highlights. I'm Scott Woodwiss, and we'll see you in Korea in 2 weeks' time for round 12 of the 2013 Thrustmaster Formula Sim Racing World Championship.